Welcome to GTS Car Life. I'm Thomas. This is my 2023 Porsche Taycan 4S Cross Turismo, or more precisely, it's my wife's. But I wish it was mine. I'll tell you all the reasons why in our next video. Today, I'm going to tell you about our experience picking this Taycan up at Porsche's Experience Center in Atlanta and driving it home 1,302 miles. We ordered this Porsche Taycan 4S Cross Turismo the first week of December 2021. 14 months and a variety of global crises later, we finally took delivery at Porsche's North American headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, and proceeded on a 1,302-mile drive home. This is what we discovered. First of all, if you're ordering a Porsche vehicle, I can't recommend strongly enough that you take delivery at one of Porsche's experience centers in various locations around the world. Here in the United States, you can choose from Atlanta or Los Angeles. I'd been to both locations previously, having been to Los Angeles in November 2018 for the launch of the all-new 992 Porsche, and Atlanta in 2019. Living in Dallas meant either location was a similar distance, so I chose Atlanta since it is also Porsche's North American headquarters. Actual delivery was just 1 week shy of 3 months after the actual production date due to a labor strike-related backup at the port of Emden, the cross-Atlantic journey, and getting on the schedule for the actual 5-hour-long delivery process. Porsche allows you to track the various stages of your order on their website. We found the website experience to be glitchy. Dates and vehicle status seemed to constantly change and were often not in sync with each other across different areas of the site. The best features were the ability to see photos of our actual car going down the assembly line, which was super cool, even though we didn't discover this until the car was almost in Atlanta. Also, we were able to see in real time as the finished car took its 416-mile-long truck ride from the factory in Stuttgart to the port of Emden. We then used another site to follow the car on the ocean freighter Supreme Ace as it made its way across the port of Jacksonville by way of Nova Scotia. The anticipation of actually receiving the car became an integral part of the experience. At times, it seemed like someone was getting their laughs at our expense. Porsche and their clients had to endure a global chip shortage, a supply chain collapse, a run-up in car prices, an attack on the people of Ukraine where the wiring harnesses are made, a devastating fire in a battery plant, a ship fire and sinking, a global parts shortage, a record strike by the dock workers at the port of Emden, and finally, tornadoes in the Atlanta area when we were set to pick our car up. We, along with countless other anxious future Porsche owners, could do little more than share our thoughts on various forums. Finally, the day arrived. My wife's Taycan was ready for us at Porsche Experience Center Atlanta. We had made arrangements to arrive 2 days early to take in the great city of Atlanta. We rented a Guards Red Porsche 718 Boxster on Turo and booked a room at the Kimpton Hotel overlooking the very test track where Sharon will be driving on delivery day. Our first day in Atlanta, a Sunday, we experienced some of the outstanding restaurants that Atlanta is known for. We were so pleased with the incredible friendliness of literally everyone we encountered. We also took a tour of the Coca-Cola Museum and had breakfast at the first Chick-fil-A restaurant. The next day, Monday, was Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, so we thought what better day to pay our respects by visiting his birthplace and the church he attended. It was a special moment and something that left quite an impression. Afterwards, we grabbed a bite to eat and went to see the Georgia Aquarium, which is the largest aquarium in the United States, and hands down the most exciting and memorable aquarium we've ever experienced. All I can say is, everyone needs to spend a day at the Georgia Aquarium and be sure to purchase the Behind the Seas tour. Wow. Finally, Tuesday, delivery day. We walked across the parking lot from our hotel to Porsche headquarters. In the 22 years Sharon and I have been together, I've never ever known her to be excited about any car she's ever owned. She doesn't even care much about my cars. It took this car, the Porsche Taycan, to make her absolutely fall in love with a car for the very first time ever. Full of excitement and with over a year of anticipation, we entered Porsche North American headquarters. I don't want to give away too many details so as not to ruin the surprise for future owners, but Porsche really went out of their way to make the delivery day experience as special as their cars. We were greeted by an enthusiastic group of Porsche employees, signed a few forms, and were presented with personalized IDs and a lanyard, which alerted every Porsche employee we encountered that we were here for Experience Center delivery of my wife's new Porsche. We were treated to lunch at Porsche's 356 Cafe and received excellent service from all the smiling and friendly Porsche employees while enjoying our choice of lunch and overlooking the test track where Sharon would soon be learning about her new car's capabilities. After lunch, We were taken out to the test track, which is divided into multiple and different learning areas or modules. Porsche has typically had some of the best instructors in the business, and today proved no exception. AJ took Sharon over to a Taycan sedan, and after helping familiarize her with the car and its features, spent an hour and a half on the test track, teaching and showing her what both the car and she could do when pushed. I'm not going to lie, her favorite part was experiencing Taycan's launch control, which she repeated many times. After finishing up on track, we were treated to a full tour of the facility, which includes a really cool 2-level museum, restaurants, a store full of Porsche goodies, and a Porsche Classic restoration facility. None of my Porsches needs restoration yet, but it's great knowing Porsche has this service available for the future, just in case. Finally, we were escorted into a very private delivery area, where undercover in a large, beautiful garage, Sharon was about to meet her very own brand new and custom ordered Porsche for the very first time. I honestly can't begin to describe the feelings my wife was experiencing at this moment, over 14 months in the making, so I'll just show you. After meeting her new car and receiving a thorough introduction and presentation, her brand new Taycan was parked in the company garage at our request, where it would stay clean and safe until we began our 1,302-mile road trip home in the morning. For now, we would walk across the parking lot back to our hotel for one more dinner and one more night in Atlanta. The next morning was the start of our journey home, 1,302 miles from Atlanta to Dallas with stops in Destin, Florida and College Station, Texas. Porsche had plugged the car in overnight and we left with a full charge. This being our first electric car, and with all the complaints we'd been reading about and hearing about regarding the state of the public charging network, our anxiety wasn't about range, it was about pulling up to a charging station and finding that either the chargers wouldn't work for us or that someone would have their Chevy Bolt or ID4 tying up the only available fast charger. After all, what good is the Taycan's 800-volt architecture and super fast charging times if we can't access working fast chargers? Porsche includes 3 years of unlimited 30-minute charging sessions at Electrify America stations nationwide, and has agreements with other charging station brands in other countries. It appears new automobiles in the United States will be moving over to Tesla's NACS in the near future, but for now, this is as good as gets. So to take advantage of no-cost charging and to minimize our stop times by utilizing the CCS fast chargers, we prioritized Electrify America stations in the Taycan's navigation system. Not only will the Taycan calculate our stops with estimates of our remaining stated charge, but the battery pack would also be preconditioned, either heated or cooled, to allow for the fastest possible charge. Porsche claims that a Taycan with a Performance Plus battery like the Cross Turismo can be charged from 5% to 80% in as little as 23 minutes. Our first day will be an easy 310 miles, 5 hours, 15-minute drive from Atlanta to our beach home in Destin, Florida. We plan to stay for 2 nights to check in on a remodeling project. Under good conditions, it's not uncommon for Taycan owners to report 270 miles of range on a full charge. Of course, we didn't have any intention of trying to utilize 100% of the battery's power, and we knew that the combination of colder weather and highway driving would further reduce our actual range. So we followed the guidance of the Taycan's navigation system and headed for a charge point at the station in Dothan, Alabama. Our very first stop didn't go that great. We had driven 216 miles, and our Taycan was showing only 15 miles of range left, along with an urgent charge battery immediately warning. Once we got plugged in and waited for the car and charger to communicate with each other, we ended up getting the dreaded charging failure message. We moved the car one spot over and tried to use the only other charger there. No go. So, after half an hour on the phone with ChargePoint and a full over-the-air station reboot, the original charger did start working, but with a claimed 62.5 kilowatt maximum, the screen told us we were going to be there for over 4 hours. 4-hour charging for what should be just a 5-hour trip. We decided to charge just enough to get us to our first Electrify America station, 36 miles away, at a Walmart in Chipley, Florida. After spending $2.70 for charging at ChargePoint and a bit more for some really good Tex-Mex food, we left Dothan, Alabama, and continued towards Florida. Reaching the Chipley Electrify America charging station was easy, and after selecting one of the available 350 kilowatt EA chargers, navigating the car to line up with the charging cord and plug it in, we anxiously awaited for that happy green light. No such luck. Another 30 minutes spent talking with a nice Electrify America lady on the phone, and we did, in fact, start getting a charge. Once the power was flowing, everything went very smoothly. We went inside the Walmart to take advantage of the restrooms, grab a box of ice cream sandwiches, and a couple of bottles of water, and after just over 20 minutes of charging, we left with much more range than we needed to get the 75 miles to Destin, drive around for 2 days, and begin to head west with our next overnight stop 400 miles away in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. While in Destin, we were able to plug our Taycan into a Tesla destination charger at a local hotel for a couple hours while we enjoyed ourselves at the Destin Harbor. The charge was free, and we were glad to have purchased a Tesla tap in advance, but we got very little charge in the time we were there. After 2 relaxing days and nights on the beach in Destin and some great sushi, we continued our journey home early Friday morning. We'd planned to spend the night in Baton Rouge, then College Station, Texas to visit our son, and finally arriving home in Dallas on Sunday. Before we left, I used the PlugShare app and website to check in on the status of the charging stations we'd planned to stop at. We were going to do a quick stop at a nearby outlet mall, adding just enough charge to get us to the nearest Electrify America 350 kilowatt fast charger. As anyone who owns an EV or simply checks out any EV forum already knows, just because a charging station is supposed to be somewhere, that doesn't actually mean that it A, will be there, or B, will actually be working, or C, will be available. Well, our Electrify America app indicated that the station we wanted to fill up at was indeed up and running and that chargers were available at the moment. Being the oftentimes skeptical guy that I am, I double-checked with PlugShare and found that they were reporting the entire station was down, closed, with no estimated repair date. This was a problem because there was no way we could make it to Houston without stopping somewhere along the way. The idea of a 9-hour slow charge had zero appeal. Another call to Electrify America, where the nice lady on the phone confirmed that the station indeed was closed, in spite of their own app reporting everything okay. So as a result, we planned more frequent and shorter stops, driving 185 miles to Gulfport, Mississippi, 177 miles to Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, and 87 miles to Sulphur, Louisiana. We stopped in Baton Rouge, where we found a Cane's Chicken and called it a night. The next morning, we made our way west to Houston, where we would then turn north to College Station, and finally, Dallas, Texas. Arriving in College Station, we checked into one of the few hotels that claimed to have EV charging. We found 2 plugs, one occupied by a Tesla Model 3 and the other one available. Unfortunately, as we found to be typical, the hotel's charger was a lowly level 1 charger, which meant we parked and left it plugged in all night. Hotels really need to invest in proper chargers. We found the norm to be only a couple chargers, all of them painfully slow and usually occupied all night by the same few cars. After visiting our son for 2 days, we stopped at Electrify America station at the Walmart in Belmont, Texas. By this point, Electrify America and Porsche had synced their records and we were able to literally plug in and start charging. Aside from receiving a lower charge rate than promised by the charger, and much less than our Taycan can handle, we consistently reach a 90% state of charge in less than 30 minutes. Enough time to walk into the Walmart, use the restroom, grab a bottle of water and food, and make our way back to the chargers. It's also worth noting that, at least at the Walmarts we experienced, the chargers tend to be at the outer limits of the parking lots, far away from the store entrance. This trip took place in January and the weather was generally cooperative, if chilly. Only one time did we have to endure rain. Somebody needs to elevate the charging experience to covered charging stations and convenience stores. No doubt this will become the norm in the future. We arrived home in Dallas with 1,302 miles on the odometer of my wife's brand new 2023 Taycan 4S Cross Turismo. We were never stranded. We never ran out of charge and always had options. In all honesty, the experience far surpassed our expectations. We had read and heard all about the awful state of EA chargers, range anxiety, and early Taycan software issues. One pleasant surprise was that most of the time at the Walmart EA charging stations, we found Walmart security vehicles either stationed or continuously driving by the chargers. This really helped us feel safe in the various unfamiliar towns we stopped in, especially after dark. What about the Taycan itself? I have a full review of this 2023 Taycan 4S Cross Turismo coming in another video, but here are some early takeaways. Porsche InnoDrive is a star. I had read mixed reviews on the forums and tend not to like tech in a car. I buy Porsches because they drive like nothing else and are built to last. I routinely track my 911 GTS at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, and it's also my daily driver. My son tracked his 1985 and a half 944 several times, including one with Formula 2 world champion and F1 legend Tommy Byrne in his passenger seat, and also daily drove it for 3 years. Porsche builds cars that do what no other brand can do as well, plain and simple. But with InnoDrive, Porsche has added in tech that actually improves the driving experience and makes the driver and passenger much safer. I strongly recommend checking the box for InnoDrive when you order your Porsche. Not intending to make the Taycan self-driving, it does help keep you in your lane. It will maintain a set speed and actually adjust as speed limits change. In fact, our Taycan with InnoDrive engaged knew that the speed limit was going to drop from 75 miles per hour to 55, then 45, 35, and 25 as we approached a small town. The car automatically and very cleverly adjusts our speed so that we hit 55 miles per hour at the exact moment we reached the 55 mile per hour speed limit sign. And the town's welcoming committee, headed by a local police officer who was kindly sitting behind it with a laser turned on pointed at us. So, InnoDrive saved us from a possible speeding ticket, more than once. And traveling on the interstate in heavy rains and tractor-trailer mist, it was very reassuring to know that even if we couldn't see more than a few car lengths in front of us, our Taycan with InnoDrive was constantly scanning for vehicles and other objects in front of us and could bring the car down to a full stop if needed. It really takes a load off your mind in rain and night driving, let me tell you. And in congestion, it will keep you safely behind the car in front of you, accelerating and braking as needed, even down to a full stop. InnoDrive is awesome. Rear wheel steer is another must. The Taycan Cross Turismo's turning circle is insanely tight. Absolutely money well spent. We also ordered the thermal and noise reducing glass, as well as the variable adjustable panoramic roof. The thermal noise reducing glass makes a big difference in the Texas heat, but it does make windshield mounted toll tags unreadable by some readers. Entering DFW Airport, for example, the scanners are unable to see the tag, so you're left to get a ticket on your way in and use your credit card on the way out. The adjustable roof is a cool trick, and any reduction in overhead sun is a welcome addition in states like Texas. If you don't live in a bright state, you can probably save your money. I'll tell you this, my wife and I were not electric car fans. We didn't want an electric car for any perceived environmental benefits. We knew that internal combustion engines are becoming mandated out by so many governments, and that her next car, I'm never selling my 997 GTS, but her next car would either be her last gas car or her first electric. We rented a few different cars on Turo for a week at a time. One of them was a Tesla Model 3 performance package. Driving that Tesla convinced my wife that she wanted an electric car. In fact, she extended the rental out to 3 weeks. Being that we love Porsche, and my wife needs 4 doors and a decent-sized trunk, the Taycan Cross Turismo was simply the only model Porsche made that would meet her needs and serve as a replacement for her 2016 Cayenne S. We now have almost 5,000 miles on Taycan. It didn't take the full 1,302 miles to know that the Porsche Taycan is simply the most incredible car we've ever driven or been a part of. Easily the most exciting daily driver on the market. And I regularly drive some of the world's most exciting and exotic cars. For track use, I'm definitely take something smaller and lighter. But for a daily driver or family use, the Taycan Cross Turismo is currently as good as it gets. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell so you won't miss all the exciting new content we have coming, including the full review on this 2023 Porsche Taycan 4S Cross Turismo. Have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you out there.